What is the deal, beautiful people? My name is Ramon. Welcome back to the channel. Today's AMA is a very relatable one, especially in these trying times. And here it is: how to cure gas. And gas, if you may or may not know, is an acronym for gear acquisition syndrome. And this is something that a lot of photographers struggle with. I think just people in general struggle with gas when it comes, if you take that concept and apply it in life in general. So the idea behind gas is you have everything you need, but you just can't stop buying more shit. And I can tell you from an honest standpoint, I am so guilty of this. And I've had to fight my way out of this in the last 2 years. So I've got some tips that could hopefully help anyone that's in the situation of being under the pressure of gas, especially in today's world where currently right now everyone's quarantined and you can't go out and take pictures. So what's the next best thing? Find some deals on lenses and cameras. But anyway, my first tip around dealing with gas is simply to remember that the camera is the tool, it's not the end result. And I don't think there's ever an architect in history that just finished constructing this crazy building and looked back and said, I wonder if life would have been better if we had X, Y, and Z screwdriver, right? Like, that's just not how we think. I think reversing that, the concept behind that thought, is what will end us up in ultimately a better place, where we look at our camera and our lenses and our tripods and our filters as what they are, and that's just tools. They are not the end result. And I think a lot of people, and I get it, I do it as well, right? You look on Yelp, you look on Reddit, and you see these beautiful images, and the first thing that people ask is, oh, this is amazing. What did you use to take this picture? It wasn't, what time did you get up? How long have you been thinking about this composition? How did you compose that shot? They want to know, what camera did you use? What lens did you use? And like, it's too much. Let's dial it back. Your camera is the tool and nothing else. My second tip is to learn to obsess over your actual end results, your images. Learn how to obsess over the composition that was used to get you to that end result, and how you could possibly do it better, right? Using the same exact gear. And once you ignite that obsession over composition, storytelling, and just giving an extra glance to your work, it'll kind of naturally level out the gear acquisition syndrome. And I think, for me, what worked, the more I critiqued and the harder I critiqued my work, the more I found ways to tweak it to get better end results. And sometimes it was large end results, sometimes it was very, very small. But the trick was, I didn't go out and acquire a new piece of equipment to help me get to that result. And the more I started to do it, the more I started to realize my end result really isn't that reliant on gear or buying another piece of lens or a new camera with X amount of megapixels. Like, that really didn't, that wasn't where I arrived after the entire exercise. So hopefully this is a very key tool to helping you not only improve your photography, but steal some of the limelight that you don't have the tools that you need to get it done. My third tip is projects. And projects can be scary for a lot of people, but it really isn't a big deal. Just find something you want to do. Find a story you want to tell, or an image or a composition, how you want to execute, and just break it down in steps, right? And then instead of one end result, throw 3 in. So duplicate the process you did to arrive at this image and add 2 more to it, so you can build this nice body of work for this project. It's not a super difficult thing. But what projects does is it gets you focusing on the goal, the task at hand, the end result, the composition you need, the location you need. And once you start to focus on these things, your gear just becomes a tool, right? And it's less about the gear you're using. Yeah, I got this crazy dope A7R4. I can't wait to use it on the project. No. Once you say, I've got this crazy idea about how to do a long exposure in the middle of the daytime at Times Square. Once you say that, you start to think about composition, you start thinking about story, you start to think about, okay, here are the settings I'll need to dial in. And the gear is at the ass end of that process. And I think time and time again, working on projects have afforded me the ability to learn how to allocate my energy to what's necessary and not the gear. Does that make sense? Lastly, about gear acquisition syndrome, it is important to understand that gear can only give you nominal gains. You know, it's not gonna vastly improve your life. And someone who suffers from someone who suffers from gas, I think is a well-informed individual, too informed to be honest with you. And generally speaking, the foundation of their gear is good enough, if not perfect, for what they need it for. And you find these different ways to convince yourself otherwise, and you go out and you say, 2.8 isn't good enough, I need 1.8, right? And then like a year later you come back and be like, I'm tired of this 1.8 glass, I need 1.4 or 1.2. But when you step back and look at these images, if you went out and you spend your $2,000 and here's your 1.2, and you still had 1.4 from 2 years ago, and guess what you had before that, 1.8. If you take all those images, those lenses, attach them to your camera and take the same image over and over and over again, you'll sort of find that the differences between 1.2 and 1.8, it's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Especially when, depending on a project, I'd say very few projects require you to shoot wide open. So you're probably going to be at 3.5 anyway, 5.6 anyway. And if you're super well informed and you subscribe to the fact that 5.6 to f8 is the sharpest part of your lenses, then who cares what lens you're using? At that point, the lens is all about the focal length and the story being told because of the focal length, not the aperture, right? But anywho, I like new lenses, new gear as much as the other person, but it took a long time. I'd say it took about 1.5 years, almost 2 years, to sort of calm that gas down, and I did not come out of it alive. You guys know, I'm looking over to my camera section. I got a shitload of cameras and lenses, which I all do enjoy, but at least I'm lucky enough where a lot of them do not overlap purposes, and I'm thankful for that. So maybe that's some energy you can put into it. Make sure that you're not buying the same gear, but gear with different purpose and different reason. My name is Ramon. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Hit the like button if you like it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I notice a lot of you aren't subscribed. You'll be seeing me a lot more. I'm out of here. Peace.